Iemand het net vir Gert raak gery.
Ek is op pad!
Hello? Hello? Christine? Isn't this Gert? Gert! Gert, can you hear me? Christine, why did no one stabilize his neck? Can't you see? And his arm! Doesn't this look broken to you? We need to stabilize him. He needs a proper examination. Gert! Gert! Christine, he's a legend in this town. We need to take proper care of him. Hello? Hello? Are you friends or family of Gert? Okay, good news for you. He's going to be fine. Stabilize him.
Yes! After Gert's accident, he realized that he needed better healthcare. Go figure. And that's when he asked me to explain the various options available when it comes to medical aids. Side note, I'll announce the winner of the previous video at the end of this video. And if you also want to win a pizza, subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a comment below. Gert, I was worried sick. Are you okay? Well, I guess this is as good a time as any. Medical aids consist out of three main sections: a hospital benefit, your chronic medication benefits, and your out-of-hospital benefits, also sometimes referred to as your day-to-day benefits. Your hospital benefits will cover all costs related when you are admitted to hospital. Now, this will include all the consultations by your doctors, specialists, any operation or any blood tests done in hospital. The chronic benefit is for medication you require on a daily basis. Medication you can't really go without, such as high blood pressure medication. Normally, there's a list of 25 basic chronic conditions that all schemes must cover. Some options will cover more than the basic 25 chronic conditions. Your out-of-hospital benefits, also referred to as your day-to-day benefits, offer everything that happens out of hospital. For example, all your doctor's visits, specialists, dentistry, medication, optometry, the works. These days, many doctors' rooms are inside a hospital, but it doesn't mean it comes out of your hospital benefit. It is still going to come out of your day-to-day benefits. In order for it to be covered in your hospital section, you need to be admitted. In other words, they open a file at hospital and give you a hospital bed. Interestingly enough, emergency rooms fall outside of the hospital and is not covered under your hospital benefits. There are four main options to choose from. The first one is called an income-based plan. Now, this option is perfect if affordability plays a major factor. The premium is determined according to your income. The more you earn, the more you'll pay. The less you earn, the less you'll pay. It does provide cover in a private hospital, but certainly comes with some limits. For example, you can go to a private hospital, but you can't go to any private hospital. You can only go to a hospital that is part of the scheme's network of hospitals. On this option, they usually exclude a few things in hospital, such as hip and knee replacements, back and neck surgery, to name a few. Now keep in mind that each scheme's income-based plan will be different, but the idea is the same. So just make sure what they exclude isn't something that you might need cover for soon. It also covers the basic chronic medication, as well as day-to-day benefits. This is actually pretty nice. They cover many things out of hospital. For example, some options even give you unlimited doctor's visits. But the downside is that your day-to-day benefits are normally limited to the scheme's network providers, also called your designated service providers. But this is perfect to start off with because it covers a lot for what you pay for, but it's going to frustrate you in the long run. It's extremely network-based. The big problem with this option, besides the fact that it has a lot of limits and exclusions, is that your doctor or dentist may not be part of the network, which means you'll need to find another charming dentist.
Dis meneer Gert, kanton. Ek kan maar deurkom. Sorry Gert, ons gaan daai tand moet trek hoor. Ons kan niks van doen nie. Sorry Gert, jou plan dek nie die nie hoor.
But if you require more comprehensive cover in hospital without the major exclusions of the income-based plan, the next option available is called a hospital plan. This option will cover you comprehensively in hospital, with the added benefit of having some chronic medication also covered. Normally, the basic 25 chronic conditions. But it doesn't have any day-to-day benefits, such as doctor's visits, medication, dentistry, and so on. If this is something that you need cover for, you'll need to take a look at a full medical aid. And this is where the last two options come in. You can either look at the traditional full medical aid, or a new generation full medical aid. Now, both the traditional and the new generation full medical aid will cover you comprehensively in hospital, much the same as the hospital plan. They also both offer chronic medication and in some cases offer more than the basic 25 chronic conditions. But they do differ in one major way, and that's with your out of hospital section or your day-to-day benefits. The traditional full medical aid will provide cover for your day-to-day needs in the form of benefits. What this basically means is that your day-to-day benefits will be split into different sections. Typically, you'll have a separate section for doctors, a separate section for dentistry, optometry, medication, and so on. It's the type of plan you think about when someone says full medical aid. But the benefits out of hospital are not unlimited. Each section will have its own limits. This can work for some people, but it has a downside. If you didn't use all of your benefits at the end of the year, you lose it. Many people felt that they paid for benefits that they were never going to use. For example, one year you might not need cover for optometry, and the next year it's exclusively where you spend your money on. People wanted more control over where they spend their funds. And that's when the new generation full medical aid was born. With this option, you have more control. Instead of having day-to-day benefits, they pool all your funds into one account, called your medical savings account. The nice thing about having a medical savings account is you can now decide where you need the benefits the most. Another big benefit of having a new generation plan is if you didn't use all of your savings at the end of the year, you won't lose it. It will be transferred over to the next year for you to use. Certain new generation full medical aids will come with something called an above threshold benefit. I think the best way for me to explain this is by way of an example. Let's say you have a new generation full medical aid with a savings account of 10,000 Rand for the year and a threshold of 15,000. The first 10,000 Rand of all your day-to-day expenses will come from your medical savings account. As soon as your 10,000 Rand savings is depleted, you will move into what is called a self-payment gap. The self-payment gap is the difference between your medical savings account of 10,000 Rand and the threshold of 15,000 Rand, which in this case is 5,000 Rand. During this time, you will be responsible to pay for all your day-to-day expenses, such as doctor's visits, dentistry, and so on, until you've reached the so-called threshold. After you've reached the threshold, your medical aid will kick in again and pay for certain out-of-hospital expenses until the end of the year.
Nice.
What? Gert, it's not as simple as that. Your medical aid will kick in, but they won't pay for everything unlimited. There are still limits, and in some cases, people tend to reach the threshold only at the end of the year, only to see the whole process start all over again the next year, which means you won't really have a chance to use your above threshold benefits. Just be careful, this can be a complex structure and confusing for many people, as some claims count towards closing the gap and others not, which has led to many people being very frustrated. When looking at medical aids, it can be pricey. And these days, you find a lot of adverts claiming they provide cover costing significantly less. That is because it's not necessarily a medical aid. They are called medical insurance. Big difference. They are not governed under the Medical Schemes Act and work very different compared to a medical scheme. But this can be a topic for another day. Another important factor to consider is at what rate does your scheme pay medical providers. Some will indicate they pay 100% of medical scheme rate, and others will say they pay 300%. What this basically means is that your scheme has negotiated a specific rate for certain services. For example, a standard doctor's consultation in hospital might be 500 Rand, but now the doctor sends you a bill for 600 Rand. If the scheme only pays 100% of the negotiated rate, which is 500 Rand, you will be liable for the difference of 100 Rand. And that's where gap cover can play a role, but that's also a conversation for another day. While I hope that this clarified what option might work for you, you still need some work with your budget, and in your case, Gert, that might take some time. And now for the winner! Congratulations, absolute winner! You just won yourself a pizza! Thank you so much for your support, pretty much from the beginning. You're awesome! If you want to win the next pizza, subscribe to the YouTube channel and leave a comment. And until next time, bye-bye.
Thank you!